Hey, look at that. It's me 1 year ago, just a little over a year from today. January 30th, Region Weather Live was born, and here was the very first video I put out. I did it live. It went just a little over an hour. To date, I have a whopping 25 views. Obviously wasn't my best piece of work, but as I was just trying to start out and feel it out and figure out how this was all going to work, this is how it began 1 year ago. Hello and welcome to the year anniversary of Region Weather Live. I am meteorologist Brad Warner, and we're going to have a couple other clips and just a few thank yous at the end of this video, so stick around for that just to see some of the things that we've done over the past year. But before that, we're going to talk about a little bit about the weather. Still not a whole lot going on. We've got a little bit of snow coming on Friday ahead of a warm front. But before that, Thursday, we're looking at some gusty winds that's going to be creating some cold wind chills as we start the day on Thursday. And then once again, as that warm front moves through on Friday, we're going to have some stiff southerly winds out ahead of that warm front as the snow moves across. And then finally, by the weekend, temperatures really begin to warm up region-wide. And here we are Wednesday evening, right around 9 o'clock. We do have some snow that's going to be skirting across the northern portions of our region. Really not going to be laying down a whole lot of snow. But what I also have overlaid here is the current wind chills. And you can see a couple of 10 belows up here in the north, right around Roseau and Hallock. Grand Forks and Devil's Lake, both at -12. Boston, -18. International Falls, -21. We've got wind chill advisories for everything in the pink and wind chill warnings for those of you in the blue here, where we're talking of -40 to possibly even 50 below as we get into Thursday morning. So we had a little bit better day overall today across the area, but we've got one more cold front that's sweeping southward. And right behind it, we're expecting some gustier winds. And here's a little bit of that snow that's moving from west to east overnight. Now by 6 a.m., you can see that cold front sweeps just a little bit further south, allowing a little bit more of those stronger winds, especially across northern parts of Minnesota, really driving those wind chills down and allowing those -40 to -50 degrees to take place. Now by the noon hour, that cold front has now swept south of our region. And the stronger winds now have also moved into southern parts of Minnesota. In the meantime, we do have this high pressure system that's going to be settling in and clearing out the snow, and we should actually have a sunny day as the day goes along from west to east. We're just kind of dealing with those winds, especially across Minnesota through the day, where we're going to be looking at also the possibility of some blowing and drifting snow occasionally. And then here we go, Thursday night, the warm front begins to move from west to east, and out ahead of it, we're going to have just a little band of snow that moves along with it. This is 6 p.m. on Thursday. Slowly moves eastward overnight. Here it is by 6 a.m. Friday morning, and by that point, just moving into eastern portions of North Dakota. By the noon hour, now moving in through Minnesota. And once we get to 6 p.m. to right around 9 p.m., that snow will be pretty much moved off to the northeast up in the Arrowhead region of Minnesota. Now, by this point, the warm front has moved through most areas, and so we're going to be looking at a much better day by Saturday. All right, zooming in just a little bit here, we are by 3 a.m. Thursday morning. We can see these gusty winds across the northern portions of our area, particularly across northeastern North Dakota and northern parts of Minnesota. So that's really, again, what's going to be driving the wind chills down. On top of that, we're going to be expecting some blowing and drifting with this. So just be mindful as we get into the morning hours. Thursday morning, here we are, 6 a.m., and those winds now beginning to push into southern parts of Minnesota and also into parts of South Dakota as well. So just, again, keep that in mind. Probably going to be causing some drifting snow as it moves southward. Now, for the most part, we're looking at wind gusts of 30 to 35 miles per hour, but you know, there could be some localized and occasional gusts of 40 miles per hour here and there throughout the morning hours. So that really will, again, drive the drifting and cause some blowing snow, reducing the visibilities, obviously, and creating some hazardous travel conditions. Now, as we move to about 9 a.m., you can see those winds now have moved across much of Minnesota, South Dakota as well. We're still picking up some gusts of 25 to 30, maybe even 35 miles per hour by 9 a.m. But by noontime, it looks like the winds already start to die off, especially in the north here. We've got some gusts up in the Arrowhead just north of the Lake Superior region where we're looking at 25 to 30, and then still down in the far south where we're looking at gusts of 25, maybe 35 miles per hour. And then by 3 p.m. on Thursday, looking pretty good, maybe except for up in the North Shore still. But by this point, at least the worst part of the blowing and drifting will be done. We're probably just going to be left with a little bit of drifting snow as we get into the evening hours. We are Thursday night, early Friday morning, and we're starting to see that warm front move through. So we got a little bit of gusty winds out ahead of that once we get to about 9 a.m. And then here we are right around noontime on Friday. See those wind gusts start to pick up just a little bit in eastern parts of North Dakota, western parts, northwestern parts of Minnesota. This is right around 4 and 5 p.m. on Friday. Again, these are southerly winds here that are going to be gusting 25, 30 miles per hour. So again, could be driving some drifting, maybe some blowing snow as we get into late afternoon hours and evening hours of Friday. It does look like that's going to spread across Minnesota through the overnight hours Friday night and into Saturday. So be on the lookout for deteriorating road conditions. And as I stated before, not a whole lot of snow associated with any of this. Here's the stuff that comes in Thursday night into Friday morning. Pretty much everybody under an inch across the northern parts of Minnesota. And then with that warm front that sweeps from west to east, again, maybe just adding another half inch to possibly an inch at the most. But again, not expecting much snow out of this at all. All right, here's the expected morning lows Thursday morning where we're looking at minus teens to around 20 across the north. And again, we're looking at wind chills of 40 to 50 below zero up there. And because that cold front sweeps southward, we're really going to struggle to get even close to zero for daytime highs on Thursday. So look at this, guys. We're going to be 10 below only for portions of northern North Dakota, northern Minnesota on Thursday. Friday morning lows still looking rather cold. One more night here of minus teens to minus 30 below. This is actual temperature. So again, we're more than likely going to be dealing with wind chill advisories and warnings across the north. Minus 40 to minus 50 up there one more time. And then here's the daytime highs on Friday. And you can see where that warm front has already swept through, where we're looking at 40s to 50s down here in South Dakota. Areas up in the northeast getting right around zero for your high on Friday. Whew, and this is a bit of a relief, I would think anyway. Saturday morning lows, single digits up in the north, near 30 down in the south and west. And finally, guys, here is your highs. People were getting above zero. We're getting to the teens and 20s above zero. Wow, we're actually celebrating about teens and 20s above zero up in the north country here. Meanwhile, once again, 40s and near 50 down in the southwest. Sunday morning lows, single digits again up in the north, 20s to low 30s down southwest. And there are your highs for Sunday. Everybody getting close to at least freezing. Up in the north, we're still looking at mid 40s to near 50s southwest. And then your highs for Monday, just a tad cooler out in the east, but still not bad. Upper 20s to around 30, 45 to 50 down in the southwest. And Tuesday, I'm going to switch to the red, the warmer looking marker here, because pretty much everybody is going to be at or a little above freezing in the east. Again, 40s and 50s out in the west. All right, I said we're going to take a look at a couple other videos throughout the year, so let's go on and take a look at those. And this is one of the first live storm coverages that I did, and it was a winter storm. It was April 12th, 2022. Currently has a whopping 700 views on it, but it was one of my more successful ones at the time. This was one of those storms that dumped around 3 to 4 feet of snow across portions of North Dakota. So people were really curious about it, curious what was going on, what was going to happen. You can see we just kind of followed the radar here. I jump in once in a while, show what's going on, and we left the coverage for about almost 2 hours running that night. A mere 11 days later, I tried a little bit of severe weather. A mere 11 days later, I tried my first severe weather coverage and just kind of watched the radar and had some people popping in on the chat. Username Wyatt Earp was the first person to ever chat on my channel for Region Weather Live, so thank you, Wyatt Earp, whoever you are. May all hell started breaking loose. This is May 12th, one of those large storms that came through South Dakota, southwestern portions of Minnesota, took down many trees, many buildings. We had a particularly dangerous severe thunderstorm watch that first came out, where we're looking at winds of 90 to 100 miles per hour. They were saying a tornado watch. It got crazy. Manx Cat started to join the chat. Savannah Ellingson, Ray Block was around. And this is really when I felt like things were starting to take off. More severe weather in June. This is June 21st. It looks like we had some storms running through much of South Dakota and into portions of North Dakota and Minnesota as well that night. This was over 8 hours of coverage and had over 8,000 views. Not big when it comes to these other big guys, but it's sure big for me. And August 28th, late in the night, was a big time for me as I finally crossed my 1,000 subscriber mark on this night, August 28th. And I told people that night if I'd crossed the 1,000 subscriber mark, I would dance a little jig. Well, and unfortunately for them, this is what they got to see. That, folks, is one ugly looking jig. And finally, one other thing worth noting, on December 15th, this live tracking of the blizzard and winter storm across the Dakotas of Minnesota was my most viewed. 11,000, over 11,000. Again, not big in the grand scheme of things, but it was big for me, and I am just fine and happy with it. And so there are definitely people I really want to thank as I've gone through this. First of all, Scott Azevedo, still don't know how to pronounce your name. Someday I will, but he was my first member on Region Weather Live, and he's always around anytime I have a stream going up or do something live. He's always commenting. Made him a moderator. Thank you very, very much, Scott. Lori Beekler, my sister, another member, but has always been one of my first people to always get out and share my videos and kind of pump up my videos. So I do appreciate that, Lori, as well as my other brothers and sisters. They've done a really good job. Thank you, Robert, Brian, Jackie, Wanda, my parents, August and Phyllis, for supporting me and for sharing the videos and getting these things out there as much as they possibly can. As well as the cousins that have been out there for me that have also helped me out, my friends who have watched and given me little bits of advice here and there. And of course, I couldn't do this without the support of my daughters, my beautiful wife. Thank you to my daughters, Caitlin, Ella, and Sophie, and my wife, Heather. Thank you for putting up with me when I'm sitting in this office and for hours and hours on end, especially in the summertime. Thank you for supporting me and helping me along with this journey. So if you haven't done so already, I would very much appreciate. Let's keep this train rolling. Let's get this thing really taking off. Right below this video, if you want to become a member, hit the join button down below. That helps my channel, helps get it monetized even more, helps me as far as getting better equipment and better setups up here. And the more that happens, the more people become members, the more time I can spend on this, because obviously I also have a full-time job. I would love to make a transition into doing this full-time. Subscribe down below if you haven't already. If this is the first time on this channel, please hit the subscribe button, please, and hit the little bell button down below so that you know when I'm on live and I've put a video on just like this to keep you up to date for the Dakotas and Minnesota. You'll know when I'm on live for the bigger winter storms that could occur yet this spring, and then definitely for the severe weather that's to come in the summer. If there's anybody who has a company who would like to advertise, put your little name, put your logo up in the corner, I can mention you on Facebook. Contact me, Brad at Region Weather Live. Email me, Brad at Region Weather Live. That would be great if I had a corporate sponsor. And finally, if you don't want to do all that, just hit the thumbs up button, hit the like button. At the very least, just give it the old thumbs up down below. Maybe even share it and just say, hey, this guy's out there. He's covering the Dakotas and Minnesota. He's been around for a year. We want him around a lot longer so that we can bring all kinds of information to this area that oftentimes everybody always says gets looked over. And it does, especially across the Dakotas, northern parts of Minnesota, and even portions of southern Minnesota at that respect as well. So let's keep this rolling. We don't want to lose this. I want to keep doing this. This is very much my passion. So let's keep this crazy train rolling. Whew. All right, everybody. Thank you for a great year. Looking for many more years to come. Thank you one more time to all the subscribers and the members and the family. Appreciated very, very much. So for Region Weather Live, I'm meteorologist Brad Warner, and here's to another year.